You're watching Bloomberg Law. I'm Pacchia. We're coming to you from the American Bankruptcy Institute annual spring meeting in sunny Washington, D.C., and we're joined by Nancy Rapoport, professor of law at UNLV School of Law. If Nancy's on the show, you probably are thinking that we're talking about bankruptcy and ethics. She's the go-to resource on that topic, but you're wrong. I'm throwing you a curveball. We're talking about something different. We're talking about law student debt. It's a big story. We've been talking about it a lot on Bloomberg Law. Student debt has skyrocketed over the last 20 years. Salaries really haven't. My question is, do you expect Congress to take action and amend the bankruptcy code at some point to make student debt dischargeable? It's not currently dischargeable.
It's not dischargeable, and it's really, really hard to get out from under student debt. They need to prove undue hardship, and almost nothing counts as undue hardship.
Has anyone ever been able to do that in a court?
There was one dead person who got it discharged. But that's the only case I can remember, and it was a question about whether her estate actually could still pay the debt and whether they could get out from under on an undue hardship because the actual borrower was deceased.
So the current situation is very, very difficult. If you have too much student debt, you can't really, in any meaningful way, get rid of it. What's the end game here? It's
really tough to say. You've got this sort of class of law students who could have up to $200,000 or more in non-dischargeable debt. Many of them can't find work at all. They went into law school believing the statistics that their law schools posted about most of our graduates get jobs, and they find out, lo and behold, even if it were true at the time, it's not true now. So they're looking at this huge disconnect where not only can they not make their loan payments, but they can't make their rent. Congress actually, we had the first meeting of the Commission to Reform Chapter 11 yesterday, and at least one, I think maybe two, but at least one of the actual members of Congress who was there, Senator Durbin, said, this is a bomb. It's a ticking bomb waiting to go off, and we have to do something.
Right. It's not only bad for the consumers and the debtors, it's also bad for the macroeconomy.
It really is. You don't want all of these highly educated, frustrated people who sort of go out like Jean Valjean for the rest of their lives. They cannot discharge this debt.
Right.
They can't get out from under. They can't earn a living with a JD, and there's no other jobs for them.
So does Congress act? Change the code?
I hope
is that
it
the
will.
Answer?
I hope it will, but you have to balance that against, this is the government's money for the most part. They really like getting paid back, and they don't want to create a moral hazard where people, what used to happen is you'd go to medical school and you'd get $400,000 worth of debt, you'd file for Chapter 7 and you'd walk off clean. They don't want that anymore. But there has to be a happy medium, and I keep thinking of the show Northern Exposure, where the doctors go into these underserved areas and they work off their debt. If there were a way to work off the debt for the government, maybe that's a compromise. But what's not viable anymore from any perspective is going to be people running around with this kind of debt that will haunt them the rest of their natural lives.
This is a precarious situation. What does it mean for law schools?
I expect some of them to close.
Really?
I really do. And the issue is going to be
Can
which
we name
ones.
names here?
I don't have predictions yet.
Okay.
But obviously the top are never going to close. There are plenty of demand, and their graduates do get work. But I think for very few schools where their graduates don't pass the bar, they don't get jobs, at some point people start doing the calculation, this may not be the right school for me, and without bucks, no Buck Rogers. There's no way to run a school without money.
Yeah, these are tough times. We're going to have to see how it goes.
Yeah,
Nancy, thanks so much for stopping by. That's Professor Nancy Rapoport from UNLV School of Law. If you'd like to learn more about the cases and issues we just ran through, be sure to check out our offerings on BloombergLaw.com and also on the Bloomberg Terminal. You can see more of our videos on YouTube, and you can follow our updates on Twitter. I'm Pacchia. Thanks for watching.